Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm Geoff Dover. With me is John Barban. Let's talk football.
All right, we're talking about the first round of the NFL draft, and we just want to touch on some of the more interesting things that happened. A lot of it was what people expected, but there was four or five teams made a couple of splashes here, and a couple of odd moves that I don't think anyone saw coming.
First thing I'll say is it was quite the spectacle. Like it was almost 200,000 people there. Like, and again, we remember a time where it was barely televised. Like it was hosted in small venues, or and
Well, so for a long time it was just Radio City Music Hall, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And so like that absolutely cannot host it now. Like the popularity of it, so it's really quite an event. So it's impressive.
I kind of like the idea that it was always in New York and the Jets fans just booed everybody. Like it's kind of like the one thing the Jets fans had. They're like,
Yeah.
we have the draft.
Right.
And they never picked the right person, but they get to boo everyone else. It was sort of fun that it was like the Jets fans dominated the draft.
It is, and
they don't even have that anymore.
No, I know, and it is kind of funny to see all the fans who are there and they're cheering like literally every pick. Like, because I'm sure, for sure, some like the fans, like the Falcon fans, there's no way I don't think they knew the names of the people that they ended up picking. But it's
well, especially when like Membu went to the Jets, and he's good.
Yeah.
Like, but it's just an offensive tackle. Not, I mean, you have to be really hardcore college fan to know.
Yes.
Like one tackle from another.
Yeah. All right. So what do you want to start with?
Well, good for Cam Ward. You know what I liked about his presentation? He was very understated with the way he was dressed. And I don't know, maybe this feels like so not important, but he just seemed like he's all business. Like his demeanor, his understate, everything about him. He wasn't dancing, wasn't anything. He was just like really. To me, maybe I'm overstating it, but that's like I like that. If that's a starting quarterback and he just comes out completely level-headed the whole way. So that was, I don't know, I appreciated that.
Yeah, for sure. It was and we talked before in the last show about like, who should go first and the QBs or something. And it was we felt like he was a bit better than everyone else who was available in the draft. At least from a stock standpoint and about what he's going to be worth like after he starts playing in something. But no, it's the least blinged out person who was there. It was and like you said, there's one thing I do appreciate, like the personality coming out when they're really happy, and things like that. Like and Hunter like hitting the Jacksonville sign when he was walking down the hallway and stuff like that. That was really great to see. But you're right, there was something the business like act like you've been there before, almost like when you score a touchdown and it's like I'm here to do a job kind of thing. Was a really good demeanor about it.
Yeah. And Will Campbell, I got choked up. I couldn't keep it in. I'm really rooting for this kid. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all of the criticisms about his arm length, but he was clearly the most dominant tackle in all of college. And then, so I don't know. I'm rooting for him. So
I can't believe
maybe I'm just a sucker for that emotional output.
No, it was absolutely fantastic, and I can't believe that 3/4 of an inch is going to make that big of a deal when you're talking about someone who's over 6 feet and 300 pounds. Like I can't. It's one thing when if it was your vertical jump and you're an NBA player or so, but I don't know. I can't imagine that less than an inch difference because the 33 was sort of the number that they think people should have. And it was just a bit under that. But
how many guys who have the measurables bust?
Yeah,
it's just not, I mean, no. He has everything. Okay, fine. He doesn't have your prototypical perfect arm length, but Jesus.
He's got everything else.
If anything, maybe it works to his advantage because now he will perpetually have the I'm not good enough, I got to prove myself thing. Like Brady had that his whole career. Like,
yes.
I'm not good enough. Even I was watching the Aaron Rodgers documentary. He has a little bit of that in him too.
Yep.
Like people
he got passed over. Like he went
not good enough.
He went further down than people thought. Yeah.
It's kind of shitty to saddle somebody with that feeling, but boy, do you ever get performance out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I didn't like about the show is when they didn't announce the Jacksonville trade like forever. Like it was they went to the second pick. It had Jacksonville was on the clock and no one was talking about it. And I'm like, isn't this Cleveland's pick? And then eventually they said there was a trade, and that's because they wanted a certain somebody.
Well, yeah. Okay. So that's actually, to me, the most interesting thing in this whole draft, followed closely by the Giants and what they did. So, okay. So I've got a little note here on what they traded to get Travis Hunter. So they swapped first round picks. So that wasn't that big a deal. But the other thing that the Jags gave up was the second round pick, a fourth round pick, and next year's first rounder.
But Cleveland got a second and fourth round too. Yeah, so like they were. So the only thing that Cleveland got, like, in addition, was the first round next year.
But that's a huge deal.
It's a big
That's
deal.
like a
Like,
huge deal. And they moved up 10 spots. Um, I think that the second round pick was better too. So, but just that's a lot.
yep.
Like that's a lot for. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a lot to do that to get that player. But I guess Jacksonville needs all the help it can get as far as like publicity too. I don't know. Maybe you think this is partly a publicity play?
I think it's a combination of stuff. I think it was a great move, to be honest. I think that Travis Hunter is a generational talent. Their number one need was defensive back. So, and I think he's the best defensive back available. He can also play offense. Trevor Lawrence needs some help too to get that going. So, like, you could have him on offense, and he's from Florida, right? He's from Florida. So I think it's a great fit. I think it's you're giving up. It's an extra first round pick next year. But I thought that was a great move, and he's could be a real all-star at that position. So
yeah, and not just like Deion or Champ Bailey, but more like Shohei Ohtani. If it works,
yes,
he might actually be a true two-way player. One of the thoughts was he's just not going to hold up playing two ways. But when you actually think about it, there's way more plays in college than pro.
Yes.
So
plays per game.
Plays per game.
Yes.
Pros is what, at least 20% less.
Yeah.
So, and if he's in on certain, let's say he's a starting cornerback and he plays full time on defense, and he plays some of the offensive snaps, it's going to be actually a lot less than he played in college. Even if he does, if he was full time both ways, it's still less than college. And if you just put him in on certain receiving packages, it'll be way less than what he did in college.
Yes, it will be. Like, he's playing against bigger, faster people, right?
Yeah.
That's part of the concern too. But I agree. I think I'll be just having him full-time defense and 10 or 15 plays a game, I think the start would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to put butts in seats too, which is another thing Jacksonville needs. And I thought the last thing I'll say about the trade too is that I thought it was interesting that they had to wait for Tennessee to take Ward, right? Because, like, if otherwise they could have made this earlier. But I think there was some, not 100% that they were going to be taking Ward. So I think that's why they had to wait to do it, like, as soon as the pick was in. Yeah. So
apparently the one broadcast I was watching said that there was interest in the first pick. Like, multiple teams are expressing interest in trading up for the first pick. So obviously a bunch of people, I'm assuming, all wanted Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Unless somebody was trying to get to the first pick to get Hunter. I don't think so, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, well, I mean, now if the Jaguars weren't before, they're must-watch TV now. That's for sure.
Yeah, right? Like, that's, this will probably be one of the more. This is one of the more, like, popular or people, like, defensive backs that people are going to want to watch. Like, I remember when Stingley was amazing. It was amazing in college. Yeah. High-ranked recruit. Went to Houston, but people aren't going to watch Houston for the excellent DB play. Do you know what I mean? But, like, it was, but they will for Jacksonville, for Hunter, because of who he is. He won the Heisman, and plus he can play some offense. Like, that's big for them.
Yeah. He's a rare, completely rare player. That people will tune in, even if he's playing mostly defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to the other team that made a big splash was the Giants.
That was fantastic. So going into the draft, that, some people were saying that Carter is the best person available, like, of any position. You know what I mean? And the Giants have been built on defense, so having an outstanding edge person really fits their mold. And it was no one's gonna have trouble with that pick. But then to follow it up with trading up, and I don't know, did you have down what they had to trade to move up to get Dart?
I'll look at it.
Okay, but it wasn't. I didn't think it was that bad in real time. And I think Dart I think that the chance of him working out better than Sanders is higher. Like, I think he's got a better chance to work out than Sanders. And even though we just said how good Cam Ward was and was probably the number one QB, I think the chance that Dart works out is just as good as Ward. Like, I don't think any one of them is going to be heavily, like, it's not like you say for sure Ward works out and for sure Dart doesn't or something. Like, I think that the chance of either one of them working out is the same. And so not only do you get the best player available, but now you get a QB which is just as good as any QB you could add anywhere in the first round.
Yeah, we talked about that. all of the people that I pay attention to that do QB analysis, it wasn't obvious to them who was better than anyone else. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Ward had one of the stronger arms out of all the top guys, but when I pay a lot of attention to JT O'Sullivan with his QB breakdowns, and he found holes in everyone's game, obviously. Sometimes the film is just limited based on how the offenses are run. Like they don't run exactly the type of offense that fully displays everything that's going to happen in the NFL. So you only get to see what that offense can provide. But as far as Dart, he had some big time NFL type throws on his film, just like Ward had some big time NFLs on throws on his film. So, I mean, maybe Ward's a bit more mobile, but Dart's pretty mobile too. So it's kind of, and we said this, I think that all 5 or 6 of these QBs, so, you know, Sanders, Dart, Ward, Shuck, McCord, Ewers, I think they're all interchangeable. I think they're all huge question marks, and we just don't know.
Yeah, I think that I had Dart and Ward probably a little bit higher than some of those other ones that you mentioned, but like, but again, just to come back to the Giant, like some of their moves last year, like with Barkley and what they did with Daniels, you know, like
Daniel
Jones, yeah, like it was just horrendous. And so this really, if you're a Giants fan, this has to feel like one of the better drafts that's happened in a while
so far, and just in the first round,
because it really seems like 2 good moves, like which is great.
Seems like it.
It does.
So they actually sent their 2nd round pick and 3rd round pick and a 2026 3rd round pick to Houston for this spot.
Okay.
So it's pretty good for Houston. They picked up 3 pretty useful picks there. So we'll see. I mean, that's a serious investment in Dart, which the other way around this is, given what we were saying, that these guys seem more or less interchangeable. Like, did they really need to do all that to get Dart? They must have had some intel that somebody else was interested in Dart in the first round. But when you look at who was left in the first round, who would have been interested in taking him? I mean, unless they expected him to go early in the 2nd round. Yeah.
I mean, it's a combination of who was going to take him, or like, and then, or if there's something about them that they really like when they're willing to don't want to take that chance. So I'm good with either one of those because the price of what they had to pay to get him at that point in the first round is not significant. Like it's not like the Trey Lance thing and stuff where you're really mortgaging the future. Like it was so that's a good price for someone that has just as good a chance to work out as Ward.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to just by definition sit this year behind Russell Wilson.
That's one of the best things about this plan, right? Because you didn't take like a top 1 or 2 pick. Like I feel like the expectation is that they don't have to start immediately.
Yeah, there won't be that pressure. Like, look how little money you dumped on this guy.
Right.
Kind of like Penix going number 8.
Yes, exactly. So.
All right. Well, the other splashy pick was Ashton Genty going to the Raiders at 6.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And and again, we've talked before about the Raiders, like what they've done. Because they brought in, they've made the passing game a little bit better. And then this is arguably the best. I don't think it's even arguably. It is the best running back available.
Oh, for sure.
And so it's a great matchup there.
There's a chance he could be great.
Yeah.
I mean, not. I know some people say his numbers are inflated because he was in the Mountain West, but how come all the other running backs in the Mountain West didn't do that? Like, there's something different about this guy.
Yeah, and he also played really well against really good teams too. So that's that's.
Oh yeah, that's their must-watch TV. So I mean, if they weren't already, they're 100% must-watch TV now. So
2,600 yards is a significant number in college. The only one that came close to that was Barry Sanders, who's one of the best NFL backs of all time.
Just a bit past that, yeah. So
he's
second
all time. Oklahoma State. It was Oklahoma State. Like it's not like they played a murderer's row either at that time.
So Genty's second all time. So that has to mean something.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you thought was okay? I have one other thing I thought really stuck out.
Talk about that one.
The Falcons? Okay, so I know that their pass rush was terrible. And their number 15 pick, Jalen Walker, we thought Jalen Walker was a beast at Georgia. So I totally think that's, of course. But this seems like a deep draft for defensive line, but edge specifically.
That seemed it was been declared by many people that the one thing this draft had was deep defensive linemen.
Yeah, and lots of edges. And then So then they trade. Jesus, they trade with the Rams. They send the Rams a second rounder, a seventh rounder, and a first rounder next year. And I'm sure they got something else back. But I mean, next year's first rounder
That feels
just to
like a
move
lot.
up to get an edge player.
Yeah.
Now, and Pierce, I mean, some people would say he's undersized, maybe 245 pounds. And there was some speculation of some personality issues there, but it sounds like, I read an article saying their GMs obviously did their due diligence. They wouldn't have made this move if they weren't comfortable. But of course, that's what they're going to say. So
they said that about Johnny Manziel too.
Yeah, right. So in the most charitable case, they could have just knocked it out of the park with two stud edges, and they could have a superior pass rush this year. And these type of players don't need to take time to develop into NFL players. Like a D lineman, they can figure it out pretty quickly and start impacting in the NFL pretty quickly. Look at what the Rams did with Verse. Like it's possible. It's possible that this can transform a D line that quickly. So in the best case scenario, they could have just awesome bookend edges here. Or worst case scenario, he's a developmental player and they wasted some draft capital where I think they could have got a good edge in the next round anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and I agree with you. I think that, the best case scenario was, we talked about this with the Eagles a bit, like, drafting in the last few years, drafting a defensive player from Georgia is a smart move.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it's part of it is the competition they play against. Part of it's probably the coaching, because they've had really good, Kirby's always been an excellent defensive coach.
Yeah.
So it's a 5-star recruit. Like, they've been an amazing athlete their whole lives,
I mean, and they're practicing against 5 stars and
absolutely
playing against other 5 stars that are all going to the NFL.
So I'm never really going to knock that move until you take 2 in one round where you for sure need other positions. You for sure didn't have to give up that much to move as much as they did, like to get, so I was with you. It's more surprising than anything else. And if they struggle in offense, if they struggle with pass protection, or if they if they struggle anywhere else in the field, it's going to be sort of glaringly obvious that they took 2 of the same position. That just doesn't happen very often. Like, where you get back
if you need 2 edges, that's fine. But you traded that much just to get to this specific guy.
You're right.
In a draft that I thought had about 8 good edges in it.
Yeah, you can't. There's no way in the second round that the chance, kind of like we were talking before with like Ward or Dart. I feel like the chance of them working out is the same. Like, it's but the chance of that second round edge being just as good as that guy, I feel like
it's pretty close,
right? It has to be. So
I mean, think of to give up a first rounder to get to this guy. They must have had him rated off the charts.
Yeah.
To give up that type of capital to get to him. So I don't know. So we'll see. I mean, they've always been must-watch TV since they got Penix for me, but now they're extra must-watch because of these 2 players. And we're just talking the first round. Who knows? We're recording this before the second round has even started. So who knows what's going to happen throughout the rest of the draft. But I mean, this is the round where people are going to have the most, I don't know, opinions on what happened here with who went where. Is there anybody else that jumps out or a storyline here that jumps out at you?
No, I mean, the rest of it pretty much went how we it was relatively predicted. There was fewer surprises. Like, I think, as much people like to talk about like the mock draft and where people are going to go or something, but at the end of the day, you could see what positions are important. Like, it's the left tackles. Couple left tackles went in the top 10, maybe a little bit earlier than people thought. And the edge is an important position. A lot of people, got that in this one too, and so it's the
the Panthers going with Teteroy McMillan, and they had the worst defense in the NFL last year.
I mean,
they didn't understand that. Given the amount of defensive talent, okay, fine, but this is also, at least what I think, maybe I'm dead wrong, is a relatively deep wide receiver draft too. So I don't know why they had to. I mean, there was some good defensive players they didn't take that they could have taken there.
I don't mind that just because of what Bryce did at the end of last year. We talked before in the show that at the second half of last year, he played better.
Oh yeah.
And so in giving him another weapon, like in the NFL, a really strong wide receivers is a good thing. So So, and some people had him ranked like the best receiver available. Some people had Golden ranked a little bit higher, but it was, I'm not going to, you're right. They need help on defense, but they're getting a potentially an all-star wide receiver is not a bad thing either. So
I guess the idea is if he works out, they've got a 1-2 punch with him and Liggett, and that would be 4 years of them both being on a rookie deal.
Yep.
So it'd be relatively cheap if they both work out in the next couple of years. They could have a solid receiving core that's not costing them much money at all. So.
No, and go to your other point too. I think there's still some good edge and D tackles available.
Yeah, maybe that's the other way they were. Maybe on their board, they're like all the edges are the same. All the
maybe rounds. That's what 2 through 6 is.
Interiors are the same, players. So we're just going to absorb them all in the next couple of rounds. So I don't know. There's obviously we could try to review everything here. Those are the ones that stuck out to me, and we'll see.
No, those are the things I found interesting. Those are
the most interesting, and it makes all of those teams really. They're going to be must-watch TV this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you got anything else?
Nope.
All right, well, let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know if there's somebody we didn't talk about that you thought was like pretty noteworthy in the first round, and what you think. Did your team did they make the right pick in the first round, or did they leave you disappointed? Let us know. We'll catch you later.